then the applicant, Ms. Choi, is the longtime head chef at Saul's on the square. It's right off the square next to the Bartel Theater, as many of you probably are aware. And so this is simply an example, a nice example of an employee purchasing the business where she's been long employed. There have been no issues with the alcohol license that's been there since the business opened many years ago. And so I just personally find this rather non-controversial, and whenever the time is appropriate, we'd be happy to make a motion.
Excellent. Thank you, Alder Verveer. Committee members, does anyone have any questions for the applicant? I see a raised hand from our interpreter.
Yeah, you need to make time for her to translate.
Yeah, earlier she was saying, Ms. Chair was saying that it's owned by with other person, but for a year now or last year, she owned by herself. She's running it by herself. In other words, the owner has been changed. Like used to be co-owner, and now she runs it by herself.
Excellent, thank you. Ms. Farley.
Just a bit of information. What's the reasoning for having a new license rather than like a change of agent?
Let's see. Alder Verveer, I believe you have explained this the most often. Would you be willing to answer that question?
Yes. Well, thank you. It might be better if our legal counsel did, or the assistant city clerk, but in my layperson's language, I would simply say that this is a new owner, a new company, a new corporation, and so that's the need for the new license, is my understanding.
So sorry, I'm just going to jump in here. If you're done with questions of the applicant, I can turn the interpretation feature back on. Otherwise, you should be making time for the interpreter to translate everything that you're saying.
Let's turn that feature on. I believe that we're deliberating and reaching a decision.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Verbeek, then Mr. Fletcher.
Oh yeah, I was not going to chime in about the need for a new license, but I can. But what I was going to say is I know it's going to be asked. There is a current condition on the license that's at that address. Its establishment must meet the definition of a restaurant under Section 38.02 MGO. But to answer the question about a new license, so it's my understanding is it's not just a change of agent, but rather it's a change of a member who controls the entity. It's a new person who is controlling the restaurant, not just the agent. And so we ask that establishments that are doing this come in, because we want to make sure that the establishments are still operating in a capacity in which we know they're operating. The committee may have passed a license for an establishment years ago, and if the ownership is changing, it's sort of an assurance that the new people who are coming in are operating it in a way that the committee and the council are aware of.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Verbeek. Committee, any further questions or discussion? Mr. Fletcher?
No discussion, Mr. Chair, but would move approval with continuing the condition from the prior iteration of this license.
All right, I hear a motion to grant with conditions. Is there a second?
I'll second, and if we could just amend the existing condition to add the phrase "at all times," something that we started doing many years ago, but this license predates that.
Thank you for your second, Alder Verveer, and I saw Mr. Fletcher nodding assent at that. Committee, any discussion of this motion to grant with conditions? Seeing no discussion, is there any dissent? Seeing none, motion carries. License for item 29, Souls on the Square, is granted. All right, Captain Sanders, it looks like you are with us. Are you actually with us?
I'm actually with you.
Welcome, glad to have you. At this time, a motion would be in order to pick up item 5 off the table. See a motion from Mr. Fletcher. Is there a second? Second from Dr. Reese. All in favor? I'm sorry, is there any dissent? Motion carries. Item 5 is taken up off the table. That is operator's license application for Timothy Riley. Timothy, I apologize for the delay. Captain Sanders, can you please let us know why this item was brought to our attention?
Well, good evening, Mr. Riley. I'm Captain Sanders with the City of Madison Police Department, Central Police District. My role in this committee is to conduct background checks and review supporting documentation that are contrary to the guidelines bound by ALRC and in accordance with state statute. It is not my intent at all to cause embarrassment or to belittle anyone. I reiterate, my role is to bring forward information discovered via the background process. With that being said, sir, in viewing your application and during the background process, an item of concern did come to my attention. The concern noted has been identified as a conflict pertaining to the licensing guidelines and bounded by statute. Guideline 1 states the following: provided the circumstances of the offense substantially relate to the circumstances of the job or licensed activity, any person who has been convicted of a felony, unless duly pardoned, does not qualify for an operator's license. This adopts Wisconsin State Statute 125.04, Appearance 5, Appearance B. To the extent that the other guidelines reference the specific offense, the guidelines shall apply if this offense constitutes a felony. So back on 12/23 of 2004, you were convicted of a felony via Clark County reference sexual assault of a child. Now, on your application, you advised that this was a high school girlfriend who was underage. And I guess the question came about, what does that term girlfriend mean to you and the victim at the time, in which the victim denied having any kind of sexual relations with you. However, you were later forthcoming to law enforcement. This is your opportunity to address the committee and answer any questions that might come about. I will turn it over to you, Mr. Riley.
Do I just start speaking? So back then, Emily, she was my high school sweetheart. She wanted to not get me in trouble of what was going on. After that, we got married. We were married for 5.5 years. We have a son together, Marcus. Since then, my life's totally changed around. I'm now the store leader of Casey's General Store on Crossville Drive. I'm just trying to renew that. Well, not renew. It says it comes up as a new. I've went through this once with you guys, I think a few years ago, like 3 years ago for a Quick Trip. And now since then, I've taken over Casey's General Store. And now I'm just trying to get my license back again. Does anyone have any questions in regards to this? I mean,
thank you for your explanation, Timothy. Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant? Alder Carter.
So, Timothy, you received your operating license for Quick Trip, and then what happened?
the time lapsed on it, and I must have missed the date to renew it. And they made me every time it lapses, you have to do a new one. I didn't know this. I thought I could just renew it with my license that had just expired. And I did not know that you had to do it beforehand. So that's my fault.
Okay. So I take it that you'll probably put a reminder in your smartphone so you don't have to go through all this again. Am I correct?
Yes, you are, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. Any further questions for the applicant? At this time, a motion would be in order. Dr. Reese,
Move to grant.
a motion to grant. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Alder Revere. Any discussion? Hearing none. Any dissent? Hearing and seeing none, motion carries. Operator's license for Timothy Riley is granted. Thank you for your time, Timothy. Next up, item 12, change of license conditions for Seven Seas Liquor. Do we have a registrant here for this item?
Sorry, that was item 12, you said?
Correct.
No, no one's
We
here.
do.
Oh, sorry. Yes, there's someone here. Kanhia I'm going to totally mess that up.
Yes, Kenny Alal.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us. Can you please introduce yourself and let us know what change you are requesting?
Yes, council members. My name is Kenny Alal, and I own 3 stores in the Madison, East Wash, and Northside, and Marshall. I'm requesting for my store in East Wash. Seven Seas Liquor is operated by me and run by me and my kids. Requesting to change condition of the license if I'll be able to sell 200 ml liquor and other source size of the wine, if it's a possibility. It's been since June we opened that store, and as you can, see that there is no any kind of issues that I have in my store, and I'll keep it very accurate, straight business with all the people or customer comes. Even if we have a little issue before we open a store about when I apply originally for a full license, but for conditionally because we have homeless people around across the street. So that's why I think I was on a conditional approved for the license. So now I think we've been have no any kind of issue, and all the homeless people is not there no more. I think so. I would appreciate that if that condition will change. If anybody have the question, I'm happy to answer that.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Committee members, what questions do you have for the applicant, Mr. Fletcher?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Kanya. I just want to get a sense of, have you had conversations with the Alder, and do you know if the Alder is kind of supportive of this particular shift?
Well, I did call the elder person, I think, and I never got a response from that gentleman, but I did get a call from the chief of police at that site of the town, and then we did talk about it, and he said, I think his elder person is not in favor for get the condition change. But I think previously when I applied for the new license, and I think his elder person that was before, I forget the name, and he said it, Ray, if you do the right thing at the store and you operate the way it needs to be, and I think we'll be considered next time when you apply for renewal, then definitely you want to try that. And if everything goes smooth, and we shouldn't be having any kind of problem. So I think the elder person has been changed, so I think we never get a chance to speak.
So Kanya, just to clarify, you haven't talked with the older person, but you did talk with a representative of MPD, and just I misheard. Did they were or were not supportive in your interpretation?
They didn't say anything about it. That if they supported it or not, but they say this is up to the council members out, but they have no any kind of I think it's issue.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Alder Carter.
Yes, I'm going to go back to the conversation you had with MPD. are you saying that the captain that you talked to did not have an issue?
No, they said, the captain said he didn't say yes and he didn't say no.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to know, are you just trying to remove condition 3 from your license?
Can you tell me, ma'am, what is the condition 3 is?
Jim, do you have condition 3 keyed up?
Let me get that.
I've got it handy. The establishment shall not sell, dispense, or give away intoxicating liquor in the original container in amounts of 200 milliliters or less in volume. Intoxicating liquor shall include wine in the original container with an alcohol content of 15% or less by volume.
Is that the condition that you're looking at, or are you looking at some
Yes,
other
ma'am.
ones on here?
That's the condition I'm looking into it.
Okay, yep.
I prefer, to be remove all, but I respect the council members and then.
Connie, you have answered Alder Carter's question. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay, Alder Carter. Okay, committee members, what other questions do you have for the applicant? Okay, so at this time, are there, Mr. Fletcher?
No further question for the applicant, but I do have a question for Captain Sanders as he turned his video back on. I mean, if the captain has any insight from his colleagues at MPD on this particular item.
Yeah, I was able to talk to Captain Gary, who advised that he had stated to the applicant that he did not have an issue with anything. However, he did perceive that things were going the way that they are currently, and he didn't know why there was a need for a change if everything was going well at this time. And that was the context he gave me of that conversation, but no true issue.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Verbeek, are there any other registrants for this item?
No, there are not.
Committee, I open the floor for your discussion. Alder Carter.
Yes. My only concern is that the applicant did not make contact with the alder. If this is something application that we want to grant, I would add that the applicant will need to make contact with the alder before the next council meeting.
Thank you, Alder Carter. I have a question for Mr. Verbeek. Mr. Verbeek, are these conditions typical of establishments in the geographic area where this establishment is located?
I'll have to Google where the area is. I think we've done these conditions in the downtown capital area, but this address is much further out by Easttown Mall. So I wouldn't say it's typical from other establishments that are probably in that area.
Thank you. Committee, what is your pleasure? Alder Carter. You are on mute, Alder Carter.
I would move approval upon removing condition 3, but not all the conditions. That's what I would move for the sake of discussion.
All right, I hear a motion to remove condition 3 from the license for Seven Seas Liquor. Is there a second for this motion? Second from Dr. Reese. Alder Carter, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you. I believe when the applicant first addressed us, he was interested in removing item 3. Of course, during the discussion, it became evident that the applicant wanted all conditions removed. The captain did not actually say yay, okay, but more professional. And yet the applicant has not contacted, or at least tried to contact, but has not made a connection with the alder of that area. Therefore, I'm willing to remove item 3 as a condition with the strong recommendation that the applicant contacts the alder before the next council meeting. Let me just say one more thing. It seems evident that this applicant has not had a tremendous amount of interaction with the police in this area. So that's another reason. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Carter. Any further discussion of Alder Carter's motion? If there is no discussion, is there any dissent? Seeing no dissent, motion carries. On item 12, the request to remove condition 3 is granted. Alder Verveer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just as you were calling the vote, I had a response from the alder of the district, alderperson Gary Halverson, and he writes, I quote, I quote, "I don't want to change anything. Please don't change the condition." So with that, I would formally move to.
Well, thank you, Gary.
I formally move to reconsider the previous vote.
All right, I hear a motion to reconsider from Alder Verveer, second from.
I will withdraw.
I think we do have to, since we already voted, we do have to vote to reconsider.
Oh, okay.
But Ms. Farley?
A second.
Oh, excellent. So we have a motion and a second to reconsider. Any discussion? Seeing none, any dissent? Motion carries. Item 12 is now back before us with no motion before us. Committee, what is your pleasure? Dr. Reese? Or
We'll defer to Ms. Farley.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Farley, is your hand up to go for it?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to refer to the next meeting to give opportunity for further discussion.
All right. I hear a motion to refer from Ms. Farley, so second from Mr. Fletcher. Any discussion of this motion? Let's see, Ms. Farley, then Alder Verveer, then Alder Carter. Alder Verveer. Alder Carter, then Dr. Reese.
Thank you. Just further word from Alderperson Halverson. He's currently in a City Board of Public Works meeting, so he's not able to join us. However, he further advised that he thought he had sent an email to the city clerk's office opposing the change of license condition. So I don't know if there's any chance that that email got lost, or perhaps Alder Halverson actually never sent it. I just wanted to update you on that. That's why he's not able to join us tonight. I'm sure he would be supportive of the motion to refer to our next meeting to allow him an opportunity to meet with the license holder.
Excellent. Thank you, Alder Revere. Alder Carter, then Dr. Reese.
Actually, Alder Revere did provide clarity. I wanted to know why we were referring this to the next meeting. So he provided that clarity. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Reese.
Just for the discussion, I just wanted to say I support the motion because although the Alder clearly has a position on this, we've also heard from MPD about, there not being an issue currently. And so it makes sense to give the applicant a chance to talk to the Alder and work something out so that we're making an informed vote on all sides.
By all means. Any further discussion of the motion to refer? Alder Carter.
I'm fine with referring, but I would like the captain of that district to also send us a summary of their conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Carter. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Any dissent? Captain Sanders.
I would just ask that the applicant reach back out to Captain Gary.
I would recommend that as well. Let's vote on this motion first. Is there any further discussion or debate on the motion to refer? Mr. Fletcher?
Alder Halverson's joined us.
I see. Alder Halverson. Currently, the status of this is there has been a motion to refer this item to the next regularly scheduled ALRC meeting. So the applicant would have the opportunity to contact and discuss the matter with you. If you would like us to move forward with that, of course, if you would like an opportunity to speak, we would be happy to recognize you.
Referral will be good. I can talk to him after that.
Wonderful. So once again, we've got a motion and a second to refer. Is there any further discussion or debate of this motion? Seeing none. Is there any dissent to the motion to refer to the next regularly scheduled ALRC meeting? I see no dissent. And so the motion carries. Item 12, change of license conditions for Seven Seas Liquor, is referred to next month's ALRC meeting. Let's see, Kania, I would strongly recommend that you reach out to Alder Halverson to discuss the matter. And it would also be wise to reach out to your contact from Madison Police Department and ask them to send their comments on to the city clerk. So we've got that on file. Okay, next up, Mr. Verbeek, what other items do we have? For what other items do we have an interpreter?
Sure, we have items number 21, and then the pair of items 27 and 28 go together, and all of those need an interpreter.
Excellent. Let us hit item 21, new license for El Imperio at 3162 Maple Grove. Do we have a registrant here for this item?
Yes, Sandra Castro Reyes.
Excellent. Mr. Verbeek, will you please swear in the interpreter?
Interpreter, raise your right hand. Do you affirm you'll accurately interpret English to Spanish and Spanish to English?
I swear.
Thank you. Sandra, welcome. Will you please introduce yourself and tell us about your proposed business?
Buenas tardes, Sandra. Por favor, preséntese y díganos qué quiere usted de su negocio.
Hola, buenas tardes. Queremos que ustedes nos proporcionen una licencia de alcohol porque vamos a abrir un restaurante de comida mexicana y queremos ofrecer también poder que coman y beban al mismo tiempo.
We are here today in front of you guys to request the alcohol license for our new establishment. We are going to open a Mexican food restaurant, and we would like for customers, patrons, to be able to eat as well as drink alcoholic beverages.
Thank you, Sandra. Committee members, what questions do you have for the applicant? Any questions for the applicant?
No hay preguntas para la aplicante.
If Alder Carter.
El concejal Carter tiene una.
Where is your establishment located on Maple Grove?
¿En dónde es exactamente el establecimiento? ¿Dónde va a estar localizado sobre la vía Maple Road?
Sobre la McKee Road y Maple Grove, está en la esquina.
It's in the corner of McKee and Maple.
Estaba antes la pizzería Marcos.
I don't know if you remember, but there was a Pizza Marcos there.
Oh, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Gracias por comentarme. Uh-huh.
It looks like you're going to be open for the lunch and dinner hour. Is that correct?
Es correcto, Sandra, que ustedes van a abrir desde la hora del almuerzo hasta también hora de la cena.
Sí, nuestro horario va a ser de 11 a 9.
We are planning on opening at 11 a.m. and closing at 9 p.m.
Okay, so basically, okay. Thank you very much.
Gracias.
Thank you, Alder Carter. Committee, what further questions do you have for the applicant?
¿El comité tiene alguna pregunta para el aplicante?
Dr. Reese.
I have a motion if there are no other questions.
La doctora Reese dice que hay moción para aprobar si no hay ninguna otra pregunta.
Just to be sure, Mr. Verbeek, are there any other registrants for this item?
Estamos asegurándonos de que no haya ninguna otra persona que se haya registrado para comentar con respecto a este asunto.
Gracias.
No, there are no
Thank
other
you.
registrants.
No hay nadie más registrado.
Thank you, Mr. Verbeek. Yes, Dr. Reese, a motion would be in order.
Ok, entonces sí hay una moción para concederle a usted la licencia.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
All right, Dr. Reese,
I move to grant.
your motion to grant from Dr. Reese. Is there a second? Second from Alder Carter. Let's see, Dr. Reese, you've turned your mic off, so I'm guessing you don't want to say anything right now?
No.
Okay, Alder Carter.
Yes, I think that this is a good addition to that area. If you've been out there, you know there's not a lot of places where you can eat, and definitely not a lot of places that you can eat. Can I take the leap to say home cooked food? So I think this is a good addition, and I agree with the. I was just looking at the menu because I'm hungry. But despite my hunger, don't worry, I won't faint. But I do think the hours are appropriate also for this area. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Alder Carter. Committee, any further discussion of item 21? Hearing none, any dissent? Hearing none, motion carries. license for El Imperio is granted. Congratulations, Cindric. Next, we have items 27 and 28, an alcohol license and 21 plus entertainment license for Los Remedios at 1701 Moreland. Do we have a registrant here for this item?
Yes, Patricia Sanchez.
Welcome, Patricia. Will you please state your name and let us know about tell us about your proposed business?
Hola Patricia, buenas noches. Por favor, preséntese y díganos la intención que tiene usted al abrir este negocio.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Patricia Sánchez y bueno, el año pasado apliqué para la licencia de alcohol para mi taquería y grocery store. Tuve la licencia, pero hubo un detalle con zona que no se podía tener grocery store en esta zona. Entonces me recomendaron que tenía que quitar la grocery y volver a hacer la aplicación para poder obtener mi licencia y poderla utilizar. Es por eso que se convirtió la taquería a restaurant bar y estoy haciendo la aplicación de nuevo para poder ofrecer al público pues comida mexicana, adicionando seafood, algunas bebidas y coctelería.
Good evening to everybody. And I was with you in front of you a year ago because at that point my business was a mixture of a grocery store and a taqueria. And I requested a license at that time. I was granted the license, but down the road, there was a little bit of an issue with zoning. And we learned that I couldn't have a grocery store at that place. Therefore, I switched the business to a bar and a taqueria. And now I am applying for a license to be able to serve some alcoholic beverages with my food.
Excellent. Thank you, Patricia.
Gracias, Patricia.
Mr. Fletcher.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. The question I have really, Patricia, is with the sort of revised concept that you've come up with for the space, have you consulted with zoning about this application, and are you kind of confident that you wouldn't encounter the same issues with this concept?
Patricia, yo tengo una inquietud o pregunta es, debido a que usted tuvo un problemita con aquello de la zonificación, ¿usted le consultó a la oficina de zonificación para estar segura de que usted no va a enfrentar el mismo problema ahorita que usted tuvo que cambiar y tiene un nuevo concepto en su negocio?
Sí, yo he estado en contacto con la persona Jacob. Él solamente me comentó que por parte de zona no tenía ningún problema con el restaurante porque aquí había sido una taberna, que el único detalle es que no podía tener grocery store y de hecho yo estuve en contacto con él durante el proceso para ver que todo estuviera correcto y no había ningún problema con lo que estoy explicando.
Yes, I have been in contact with a gentleman. His name is Jacob, and he reassured me that I wouldn't have any trouble because the grocery items are gone. Now there is complete authorization for a restaurant and a bar in that area. That place was a tavern some years ago. So yeah, I have been in contact with him, and I think that I have been assured that it's something that I can do.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Committee, what further questions do you have for the applicant? Alder Carter.
Thank you. Patricia, you did apply, though, for waiver of the 30-day notification with zoning, correct?
Patricia, usted aplicó para que le bajaran o sea, que para que no hubiera la necesidad de aplicar a una negación con la oficina de zoning, ¿no es cierto? De 30 días. ¿Usted aplicó para eso?
Sí, eso fue para lo de la licencia de entretenimiento. Me comentó el agente Jacob que lo revisara con la persona del Alder, Cherry, para que nos pudieran quitar esa notificación de 30 días, porque como yo ya había hablado para lo de la licencia, ella ya estaba enterada del trámite que yo estaba realizando.
Okay, I think that petition of a waiver of 30 days, yes, I talked to Jacob about that, and it was related to entertainment or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, ¿cómo se llama la persona con la cual usted habló para eso?
Es la señorita Alder, la Sherry.
Sherry, our elder. I talked to her about that.
Yes, you did. I'm still stuck on elder, but that's okay. That's okay.
Okay, sí, usted lo hizo ya.
I'll survive.
Okay, perdón.
Yeah, so my point is that you followed all the steps to get this granted correctly this time, so that you, according to Mr. Fletcher, his concern was whether you went through all the steps to get this granted correctly, so you don't have to pivot in midstream like you did with the grocery store.
Okay, es que mi inquietud y mi preocupación es asegurarme de que usted está haciendo todo lo correcto para que usted no vaya a volver a enfrentar un obstáculo en mitad de camino, como le pasó el año pasado con el supermercado. Entonces, ¿usted cree que usted ya tiene todas sus bases cubiertas y todo?
Sí, de hecho, el señor G me comentó que revisara con la persona de Sonic para que no tuviera problemas en el futuro para lo del entretenimiento. Entonces, a la par, comencé a trabajar con eso para ya no tener ningún inconveniente.
Yes, I think I have all my ducks on the row, and I have been talking to Jane as well about the waiver and so forth and so on, because I had started to work in parallel to be able to have some entertainment at the locale in the near future.
Okay. Now, I do have a question, because I remember when you came here for your supermarket / restaurant, you had a security plan. Do you still have that security plan in place?
Yo recuerdo que cuando usted estaba aplicando para su licencia en lo que iba a ser el supermercado más la taquería, usted tenía un plan de seguridad ya puesto en su sitio. ¿Usted todavía lo tiene?
Sí, actualmente sigo contando con cámaras de seguridad.
Yes. Actually, as of today, I have a security camera system.
Okay, very good.
Muy bien.
I do remember not only talking to you a year or so ago, and then also having a conversation with you a few months ago. So I am glad that you're able to open up this restaurant. Again, this is an area that is lacking just a restaurant, right? That has a few bars over there, but not a restaurant. Thank you very much.
Sí, yo me acuerdo que hablé con usted hace un año, me acuerdo que hablé con usted, tuve una conversación con usted hace unos meses, y de nuevo, una cosa positiva es que esta es un área de la ciudad que tiene muchos bares, pero no tiene restaurantes.
Okay, gracias.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Reese.
Yes, thank you. Will you offer food? Will you serve food while the live music is playing from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.?
Cuando usted vaya a tener entretenimiento, música de 10 de la mañana a 2 de la mañana, ¿usted va a continuar sirviendo comida en ese momento o ya la cocina va a estar cerrada?
Vamos a seguir sirviendo comida, pero va a ser fast food. Vamos a tener ahí nachos, alitas, algunos snacks para ese horario.
So we are going to continue to be offering food, but are going to be kind of an array of snacks. We are going to set up some nachos, nacho bars, some wings, some snacks that people can continue to munch on while they listen to the music.
Great. My only concern would be keeping the balance of food and alcohol sales.
Ok. Mi única preocupación sería continuar estando muy cuidadosos de mantener un buen balance, equilibrio entre venta de alcohol y venta de alimentos.
Will music be playing only on Thursday through Saturday, or will you have music all days?
¿La música, el entretenimiento va a ser jueves, viernes y sábado o va a ser todos los días?
Solamente jueves, viernes y sábado.
Only Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays.
Okay. And will you only have DJ play, or will you have live musicians or bands?
¿Usted va a tener bandas, conjuntos o solamente un disc jockey?
Los dos.
Both. Disc jockey some days and a band some other days.
Okay. And is the entertainment license only for ages 21 and up, or were you applying for 18 and up?
Cuando usted estaba aplicando por una licencia de entretenimiento, ¿usted aplicó para 21 años en adelante o 18 en adelante?
21 en adelante.
21 up.
Great.
Okay, muy bien.
Yeah, thank you. That's all I have.
Gracias. Eso es todas las preguntas que ella tenía.
Gracias. Gracias.
Thank you, Dr. Reese. Committee, what further questions do you have for the applicant?
¿Alguna otra pregunta?
Alder Carter.
I just have one more question regarding checking IDs. And I believe I'm going to have to depend on our illustrious Alder Revere. There is, or even Captain Harrison, there is a course you have to take with that, I believe. Is that true? Either one of you? I want to ask her if she's taken that course, but only if it's actually a reality.
There is a course for responsible beverage service in Wisconsin. I don't believe that it is required.
Okay, thank you. Then I will not ask that question. Thank you.
Era con respecto a cómo van a un curso que ella pensaba que tenía usted que tomar, pero no hay que hacerlo.
Bien.
All right. Alder Carter, do you have another question?
No, I do not.
Okay. Mr. Verbeek, are there any other registrants for this item?
There are not.
All right. Committee, you're welcome to ask additional questions of the applicant, or a motion would be in order at this time.
I would like to move approval.
There a motion from Alder Carter to approve, second from Dr. Reese. Alder Carter.
Yes, I believe that this establishment would be an added plus to this area. I would like to make sure that stemming from Dr. Reese, that there is a balance of food and alcohol, and that the security plan is updated for this new venture. I did talk to Captain Hansen a few weeks ago. Captain Harrison, you can tell me if you've talked to him recently, but he did not have any concerns regarding this application.
Thank you, Alder Carter. Committee, any discussion of Alder Carter's motion to grant items 27 and 28? If there is no discussion, is there any dissent to this motion? Seeing no dissent, motion carries. The alcohol license and 21 plus entertainment license for Los Remedios is granted. Congratulations, Patricia. Okay, moving right along. Item 13, change of licensed premises for Pasquale's at 1344 East Wash.
Chair, actually, I was wrong. There is a third item that we need expansion to refer. It'd be item number 31.
All right. Let's go to that then. Item 31, new license application for Mishki at 4604 Monona. Do we have a registrant here for this item?
Actually, it looks like we don't have anyone registered for that item.
All right. Committee, what's your pleasure? Ms. Farley?
Move to refer to the next meeting.
Your motion to refer from Ms. Farley. Is there a second? Second from Dr. Reese. Any discussion? Hearing none. Any dissent? Seeing none, motion carries. Item 31 is referred to next month's ALRC meeting. All right, now we can hit item 13, change of licensed premises for Pasquale's. Do we have a registrant here for this item?
Yeah, Benjamin Roberts and Christina.
All right, Benjamin and Christina, can you please introduce yourselves and tell us about the proposed event?
Yeah, my name is Benjamin Roberts. I'm the owner of Pasquale's Cantina at 1344 East Washington Avenue. And every year every year except for COVID, we host an event called Margarita and Taco Fest. And we come to you all every year to get a conditional use permit. And we are asking if we can make it so that we can have this event every year without having to take the time of you all to get a conditional use permit just for one day, if we can have it be an event that we're approved for every year.
All right. Thank you, Benjamin. Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant? Mr. Fletchers.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I think, Benjamin, the kind of question I have is, as you look back at prior years of hosting the event, I mean, your application seems to indicate that you're going to have pretty much the same operating cadence, the same capacity sort of, or ticket sort of expectations, et cetera, year on year. I think if you're looking at this on an ongoing basis, I just want to kind of confirm that that's the case from your perspective.
Yes, I can confirm that that is exactly what we're asking for.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Committee, what other questions you have for the applicant? Ms. Farley.
I guess point of information, is there a precedent for this type of request?
There is. There are a number of licenses that have a condition allowing them to do something very similar to what these folks are asking for. Sometimes it has a relative date, the last Sunday in such and such month. Most of such ones just say on one day over the course of the summer. And yeah, have I answered your question? Excellent. What other questions do people have for the applicant? Alder Verveer.
Thank you very much. Just one quick question for the license holder. Could you repeat for us what you think the correct notation would be on your license to assist the clerk's office? As it's currently worded on our agenda tonight, it's rather vague. Would it be appropriate to actually list the formal name of the annual event?
Yeah, the name won't change. Every year it's called Margarita and Taco Fest.
So it should include the phrase Margarita and Taco Fest, correct?
Correct.
Very good. Great. I'm glad you don't have to come back every year.
Thank you.
Right. Mr. Verbeek, do we have any other registrants for this item? Before anyone makes a motion, I have one other piece of information to share. I'm on the council of the Tenny Lapham Neighborhood Association, where this establishment is located. The applicants came to our council meeting and the council didn't have any concerns about the application. I actually recommended the move that they're making tonight of applying for this in perpetuity. A couple of the council members were concerned about that. I don't personally have any concerns, but I just wanted to let you know so you have all the information to make a decision. All that being said, at this point, a motion would be in order.
I will say there is somebody who registered in support, but not wishing to speak.
Who is that, Mr. Verbeek?
They only registered with the name Christina. It's registered not wishing to speak, but available to answer questions. I do not see them in the list of attendees.
Yeah. Thank you. So, committee, what is your pleasure? Alder Carter.
I move approval.
Your motion to grant from Alder Carter. Is there a second? Second from Dr. Reese. Any discussion?
If I can see a point of order, how do we want to word that as far as allowing them this expansion?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was assuming that it was in the. What? I've got the agenda right here. Why don't I just look at it? So this is item 13, request to temporarily extend premises to include enclosed parking lot for an annual event. So perhaps if this is amenable to Alder Carter and Dr. Reese, it would be that we approve expanding the premises on 1 day per year to include the enclosed parking lot for the annual Margarita and Taco Fest. Alder Carter, Dr. Reese. Benjamin, is that in line with what you intended to request?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so, and Mr. Verbeek, does that provide the clarity that you were looking for?
It does.
All right, so I think everything is in order. Committee, any discussion of this motion? Hearing none, any dissent? Seeing none, motion carries. Congratulations, Benjamin.
Thank you very much.
Hope I'm actually able to make it to the event this year. Okay, next up, we've got a change of licensed premises for the North Street Cabaret. That's item 14. Do we have a registrant here for this item?
Hello, can everyone hear me?
We can. Welcome, Benjamin. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And can you please tell us about what you are proposing? I will leave it to your discretion whether you'd like to talk about this and items 16 and 17 at the same time or cover them separately.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. I'm here for items 14, 15, 16, and 17. I just did not have the ability to list that many agenda items, or at least I didn't know how in the new online format. So thank you. I'm happy to talk about all four. They are of similar nature. I am appearing this evening virtually to request the change of licensed premise to include what is outlined in the application as the approved streetery area. As we all know, streetery has effectively expired, and that is now a process of further application with, in all four of these cases, zoning for what will be temporary outdoor seating on private property. So I am here simply attempting to meet the different approval processes that are required to operate within this temporary outdoor seating era that has come about. So forgive me if I have applied unnecessarily, but I felt like it was important to proceed. So I want to thank the committee for your consideration of this matter, and I'll be happy to answer really any questions that you all might have. I will also say that I was I was under the impression that I was going to be on the May ALRC agenda. I was pleasantly surprised to see that I was on this April agenda. So
that's not usually how that goes, huh?
Yes. So I'm happy to discuss, the general sort of expansion of licensed premise to include what is considered the new temporary outdoor seating on private property. I'm also happy to discuss any of the individual cases. The first agenda item 14 is North Street Cabaret, but also is Mickey's Tavern on Williamson Street, Grandpa's Pizzeria on Williamson Street, and then everyone's most lovable dive bar, Bussey's Tavern. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Benjamin. Mr. Verbeek? Mr. Verbeek, are you with us right now? My first question is unrelated to any of these applications. I see that both of the interpreters are still with us in the meeting. Is there anything we need to do to formally release them so they can go about their evenings?
No, we can just tell them that their services are no longer required.
Excellent. So both of you, thank you very much for joining us, and have an excellent remainder of your evening. Next question for Mr. Verbeek. Are these applications actually necessary?
They are. My understanding is I'm about to send a letter out to everyone who's had a streetery extension because the premises of the streeter extensions before were that they were temporary. The process for requesting a streetery is now something that's made permanent by the city. However, speaking with ACA Zilby, we feel like it's appropriate for everyone who's got a streeter extension to come back before the committee to request that extension be permanent, given that when they applied for it, it was thinking that it would be a temporary extension.
Okay, so what Benjamin is applying for here tonight is something that you're going to ask everybody to do, and he's just gotten in on it early.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Benjamin, next question is for you. You are the agent for North Street Cabaret, for Bussey's, and for Mickey's. What is your corporate relationship with Grandpa's Pizzeria?
I am a part owner of Grandpa's Pizzeria with my brother Gilbert Altschul.
All right. I thought so, but I did not want to assume. Excellent. So you are able to represent that. Next question for each of these four. What is your control of the private property where you're applying for the extension of your premises? Is it something that you either own or lease in each case?
Yes, they are all owned or leased.
Wonderful. And for ones that you lease, do you have sole control of that space in your lease?
In fact, I believe that they are all owned. So yes.
Even easier. Okay. Those are the questions that I had. Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant? Dr. Reese.
Just a quick question. I'm assuming that all of the streetery arrangements you have are going to be the same as what you've been running so far. And then also, just has that been going okay for you? Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I have one more question after that, though. I lied.
Yes, thank you. Indeed, the streetery arrangements at Mickey's Tavern and Grandpa's Pizzeria were a marvelous success last year. We did throw one Pride event last year at Mickey's that we received some noise complaints from the neighborhood. That was in early May, so very early on in the season. And that was related to an outdoor DJ that we had for that party. So we corrected that course and just did not have amplified music from that point on. And what I can say is that the neighborhood just really enjoyed the expansion. And I spoke with Brian Benford, our alder, a few weeks ago, and he just shared that there had really been no concern that was expressed to him around either of those two locations. Indeed, we were operating them until I believe it was 10 p.m. last year, but under the new guidance from zoning, the ordinance has changed to now 9 p.m. So I think that we can be assured that at those two locations, there will be just continued appreciation and support, particularly with no amplified music. The cabaret, the North Street Cabaret and Bussies, were both approved for streetery. However, the climate was that ultimately we never operated them. And in the case of Bussies, our staff was really not ready to reopen until later in the summer, and we felt that at that point it was really just a lot to take on and manage. And in the case of the North Street Cabaret, we were cautious about we got that experience through Mickey's about amplified music. So we there too were very cautious. So I can say that at Mickey's and Grandpa's, it was a remarkable positive experience. At Bussies and Cabaret, there was really very little activity to draw experience on from last year. However, with the new guidance from zoning and really the clarity around hours of operation and not allowing for amplified music, I feel like the criteria is something that will really guide this in a harmonious way as we see the Cabaret and Bussies really come to be actualized with this temporary outdoor seating. So in both Bussies and the Cabaret, I'm working with Syed, who is the alder for the North Side, District 12. And I feel fortunate. I have a strong working relationship with Syed. We will be organizing a neighborhood meeting where the immediate neighbors are invited as well, just to make sure that really this the evolution of those two businesses are again just in really strong harmony. So
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that. And my last question was just going to be to make sure that since you're ahead of the game on this, that you'd seen the new guidance and aware of the regulations, and you answer that. Sounds like you already are. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Reese. Mr. Fletcher.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. And Benjamin, you kind of touched on this a little bit in your prior answer, but just to kind of clarify. So where are you in the sort of consultation process with the alders and with the kind of neighborhood groups with respect to these proposals?
Thank you. With regard to Mickey's and Grandpa's, Brian Benford was in very strong support and really shared that he saw really no need for further conversation to that end. So I do believe that that neighborhood engagement is really signaled to be in a resolved space. With regard to Syed, we are in communication around organizing what is a neighborhood meeting that's just greater than the information sessions that are, a requirement of this process. But Syed had the strong idea just to mail out invitation to immediate neighbors to come together so we could really make sure that there was not going to be any voices that were not included in what was the sort of final actualization of the plan. So I would say that there is still, work to do with Syed on both the North Street Cabaret and Bussies. So I don't know if that would be appropriate to, sort of conditionally approve those two with, support from Alder Abbas. But I would say that my work with Syed around this, the conversation is still very much open, but he has expressed his preliminary support of the work that we're doing. We have a long relationship, and he is he's just a strong representative, and I feel comfortable that we'll just reach an outcome that is positive on the whole. So I don't know if that answered your question clearly, but that's kind of where I'm at. Is we're still going to be having neighborhood meetings and working through that.
Okay. No, it did. Thank you. Thank you very much, Benjamin. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Alder Verveer.
Thank you. First, good to hear your voice, Ben. It's been a long time. I wanted to just clarify some of the responses you just gave. First, I appreciate you doing your homework about the amendment to our zoning code relating to outdoor eating areas. Everything you articulated is right on the money. What it wasn't clear, though, yet from your responses is, are you saying that for each of these four establishments that you and your partners, your family, are comfortable with the so-called supplemental regulations that we amended the zoning code with a few weeks ago in terms of the 9 p.m. closure and the no amplification and the various requirements for enclosures and lighting and the like? Or do you anticipate actually applying for a conditional use permit for any of these 4 locations to exceed those supplemental regulations?
Thank you, Alder Verveer, and it's nice to be back in the mix with you guys. Yes, we feel comfortable with the standard guidelines. Indeed, as I shared, it will be a shorter time frame with regard to Mickey's and Grandpa's, but we feel like it is really still just a very strong, supportive approach, inclusive approach for both the neighborhood and the businesses, in these mixed-use neighborhoods. So I don't know at this time if we'll be going for conditional use to either extend time, or I would highly doubt that we would consider including amplified music just because of the response that we've got. The cabaret is a potential, but only if we had strong encouragement from the neighborhood association to that end. So no, we don't have plans to approach the application for an expansion outside of the standard guidelines.
Thank you very much. That really helps clarify things for me. And I also want to thank you for being our guinea pig, if you will. You were absolutely the first out of the gate since the council amended the streetery program, made it permanent the last Tuesday in March. So thanks for being the first ones, as we will probably see many dozens of these in the coming months.
Thank you all.
Well, thank you.
Committee, what other questions do you have for the applicant? Mr. Verbeek, do we have any other registrants for items 14, 15, 16, and or 17?
We do not.
Okay. Well, then at this time, a motion would be in order. If somebody makes motion, please make it clear which item or items you are moving on. Alder Verveer.
Thank you. I move to grant the following for change of license premise applications, agenda items 14, 15, 16, and 17.
All right, I hear the motion. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Fletcher. Alder Verveer, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you. Just one statement to share for my colleagues and other interested parties that might be listening. And that is, I don't feel that we have the need to consider any conditions on any of these applications, not just because they're obviously all very well run establishments that have now in some cases been mainstays for decades in the community, in other cases not as long, but are certainly mainstays. So obviously excellent operators, but much more importantly, as a part of our education with this new amended zoning code, is the fact that we do have these automatic conditions that are put on outdoor eating areas, so-called temporary eating areas, even though they're really not temporary anymore. And if they do exceed those so-called supplemental regulations, as we call them in the zoning code, those conditions would then be covered by the Plan Commission. So I don't want to say that us at the ALRC won't in the future have a place to put conditions on these sorts of applications, but I have great confidence in the supplemental regulations that were codified in the zoning code now a few weeks ago. And if any establishments wish to exceed that in terms of noise or hours of operation, those conditions then would be set on their conditional use permit by the Plan Commission. So again, not that we are out of business here in effect when it comes to these things, but But I just wanted to share my thoughts on the permanent streetery program and how it affects us at this committee. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for your insight, Alder. Committee members, any further discussion of the motion before you? All right, hearing none, is there any dissent to granting the requested change of licensed premises for North Street Cabaret, Grandpa's Pizza, Bussey's Tavern, and Mickey's? Seeing no dissent, motion carries. Congratulations, Benjamin, and thank you for being our guinea pig. Next item before us is item 18, which is a 21 plus entertainment license for the Boneyard at 1018 Walsh. Do we have an applicant here or a registrant here for this item?
We do, Jeff Poole.
Excellent. Welcome, Jeff. Can you introduce yourself and let us know what you're proposing, please?
Yes, thank you. My name is Jeff Kuhl. I'm one of the owners of the Boneyard Beer Garden and Dog Park on the east side of Madison. And we're here today in hopes that we can obtain a entertainment license. We have hopes to have some acoustic music and occasionally maybe some amplified music. We're mostly an outdoor venue, and so we sort of imagine most often this will be outdoors. And we would only be having live music until 10 p.m. at the latest. That's when we close. We've had the opportunity to meet with Captain Jamar Gary, who's the police captain in our area, and he came and met with us and didn't see an issue on his side. He's felt like we've been a good neighbor so far. And we also had the opportunity to meet with Lindsay Lemmer, our alderperson for District 3, and again, the feedback she's gotten from the neighborhood is that we've also been a good neighbor and a good member of the community for people and their dogs and enjoyment of beer, and kind of hoping that we might be able to add to our arsenal of things that we offer in the community with some live music moving forward.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff. Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant? Dr. Reese, then Mr. Fletcher.
Thank you. Do you have specific nights when you plan on offering music, or would that vary?
In our minds right now would most likely be on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, but I think we'd like to leave open the opportunity for special events and fundraising opportunities that it might fall on a different day or night. So I think in our planning, we're looking at Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as being our emphasis, but I guess we'd like to leave it open for other opportunities if they come up.
Okay. And what is the situation? So are families allowed to come to your venue, or is it just children with their guardians? Or what does that look like?
Yeah, we do allow families to come. If children have to be under supervision of someone that's of age to be there, but we do allow families and children to be on premise, especially in our on leash areas where dogs are required to be on leash.
Okay. Do you and your staff have any experience running live music events?
No, this will be a new territory for us. We've sort of studied it from the standpoint of having been in a couple of these meetings in the past and trying to create security plans and hopes to answer the questions that you might have of us. We don't anticipate these events to be big and most of the time acoustic, but we have staff on hand here to help us as people come in and to help us watch the exits on nights when there might be more people here. But this is new territory for us.
Okay. Thanks. Well, DJ won't be acoustic. Is the music? And I apologize, I'm not entirely familiar with the venue. I haven't gotten a chance to get out there yet. But is the music offered indoors or is it in an outdoor area, or what does that look like?
Yeah, our primary interest is to be doing it outdoors. In the winter, it tends to be slower here for us, as you can imagine, for dog owners and being out in the winter cold. We are open year round. And so I don't rule out the idea of some low key sort of acoustic music in the interior part of our bar. Our current capacity inside is 50, so it's never going to be a huge event, but I guess we want to leave open the opportunity for that.
Okay. I guess the one concern that I have is, I don't know, I guess it seems like I just know what music and alcohol can look like sometimes as you get later in the night. And so that combined with the potential presence of children and then also dogs who may react differently to amplified music. And so I'm wondering if you've kind of thought through how you might manage safety of patrons in light of the additional, complication of unpredictable dogs.
Yeah, that's a great question. And it is something we're talking a lot about. And I think because it's sort of a newer concept, we're going to take the cues that we get from our audience and from the dogs and families that come. And if it turns out that louder acoustic music isn't agreeable and it's not working, we'll have to pivot and move to more acoustic style music. But in markets where I've studied this, and namely a couple of places down in Texas where they do allow acoustic music, and I've been a part of some of that, and also amplified music, it has gone well. And I think it's just important as people enter and approach the event that they know what they're entering. And I think communication will be key for us as we sort of get into doing some of this and just see how it goes.
Absolutely. And I would definitely recommend, I don't know if you have any, contacts with other live music venue owners in the area, just to, reach out, ask some questions, look for tips and tricks and lessons learned, because, adding music can add another element just to make sure you're prepared for that. And then just one bit of information, I think, I don't know, Chair, if you know this or someone else, do they need to specify, or is there a different kind of approval if they want to have the music outdoors, or does it not matter because it's all on the property?
There could be conditions saying that it's allowed inside or outside, but if the application is for a certain premises, which can include indoor and outdoor space, and we approve that or we don't.
Got it. And one last question, Mr. Cool, or maybe I forgot it. Hold on. Oh, when you mentioned contact with the alder and the neighborhood, did you specifically talk about the potential for amplified music outside on your property? Just curious what they think of that.
Yeah, that definitely came up. It was a center point of our conversation, and wanting to be a good neighbor and not make too much noise. And if you haven't been to our location, we applied for a conditional use permit. We're in a bit of an industrial pocket, so we don't have a lot of residential neighbors in clean earshot of our business, but certainly talked about it. She didn't seem to think that it was going to be an issue. And again, if we ever got feedback suggesting that it was an issue, we'd obviously make adjustments to lower our volume and make the adjustments to make sure that we're still being a business that people wanted in the area.
Sounds good. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Reese. Mr. Fletcher?
I think Dr. Reese covered a couple of my questions, so thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Jeff, you talked about the on-leash area. Would I be correct to guess that is dogs being on leash?
Yeah, that's correct.
Are children required to be on leash?
That's an interesting question. No, they're not. But and some of you probably haven't been here before, but when you come into our building, which is where you register to come in with your dog or your family, the dogs are required to be on a leash. As they exit, we have garage doors that open and it opens into our patio. That's all required to be on leash area. It's a pretty sizable space. And then there's a gate that you would go through into a green space that's larger, that's fenced in, that's an off leash area where dogs are allowed to run off leash.
So, thank you. Committee, Alder Cutter.
I have a real quick question. Are the owners in that area where the dogs are off leash? Or anybody?
Yes. Yes. The owners of the dogs, when they're in the off leash area or their dog is in the off leash area, are required to be in that area and keeping an eye on their dog.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. And then the other question I have is if you get approved for this license, is there an area currently where people can go that are frequently your establishment but don't have a dog but would like to listen to the music?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, as I was talking about the layout of our facility, the on-leash area that's just on the outside of our building, we have a couple of steel dogs that are art pieces of art, and we plan to build a platform or just a decking where a band or a performer could play, and that would be in the on-leash area. So people who don't have pets could come, sit, and enjoy, whether it's a beer or the food carts, and enjoy the live music as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alder Carter. Mr. Fletcher.
Jeff, in the kind of email correspondence to the committee, a lot of the discussion does focus on Friday and Saturday nights specifically. And so I'm wondering, just checking out for my understanding, was there also sort of conversation about holding entertainment, kind of going back to one of Dr. Reese's questions, about other nights of the week explicitly with the neighbors and with the Alder?
I don't know that it was presented to them specifically talking about any particular days of the week, at least in my conversations with Lindsay. And so that didn't come up. We didn't address the entertainment being on just Friday or Saturday, but rather just the idea that we would be offering live music.
And given your sort of current closing time, which I believe you stated to be 10 p.m., you would be, I'm guessing, you would not oppose sort of a condition that live music had to cease at 10 p.m.?
No, I think that would be a fine rule to put on us, and we don't plan to ever have live music going later than that.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Committee, what further questions do you have for the applicant? Mr. Robick, are there any other registrants for this item?
There are not.
All right, committee, what's your pleasure? Mr. Fletcher.
I would move approval with the condition that live music had to cease by 10 p.m.
All right, got a motion. Is there a second? Do I hear a second?
I second.
Second from Alder Revere. All right, motion to grant with the condition that live music cease by 10 p.m. Any discussion? Any dissent? Mr. Fletcher?
Yeah, I mean, I think given the sort of, I remember, when the committee first dealt with this concept, and it is a very interesting concept without the entertainment license. I remember our deliberation, and I think I just appreciate, I think the Alder's positive remarks and reflection of her constituents' positive remarks about the establishment. I think the 10 p.m. Sort of end date sort of seems to reflect the gauge of conversation that's occurred and is reasonable, so that Jeff and others can kind of figure out the operations of sort of live music and all the nuances that have been brought up by members of the committee. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
And I mean, as far as neighbors go, if you look at a satellite picture of the area, the neighbors look like industrial buildings, parking lots, and Walmart. I don't think anybody lives anywhere near here.
Yeah, I would say the feedback from the individual who wishes they had a dog to bring to the dog park was, I think, a positive reflection.
Yes. All right. Any further discussion of the motion? There are none. Is there any dissent? Seeing none, motion carries. Item 18, 21 plus entertainment license for the Boneyard is granted with the condition that live music cease by 10 p.m. Alder Verveer.
Thank you. Before we go on to the public hearing items for new licenses, I'm wondering if there's a consensus that we could remove from the table the items that we tabled because the applicant has been with us for the last few hours now.
Oh,
specifically, those are the
6 and 7.
Yes, thank you.
Of course,
I would make that motion.
I hear a motion to take up items 6 and 7 off the table from Alder Verveer, second from Mr. Fletcher. Any discussion of the motion? Any dissent? Motion carries. We are now discussing a temporary Class B license coincident with street use permit for Wolf's King Street Pride and Oktoberfest. Who is the registrant that we have for these items?
Hey, it's Brian J. from GSafe here. Dino might be joining us, but he's cooking in his basement right now over at Davino's.
Excellent. Brian, can you introduce yourself and let us know about these proposed events, please?
Yeah, sure. My name is Brian J. Pronouns are he, him, and I'm one of the co-executive directors at GSafe, which is a organization that works to support LGBTQ youth in our schools here in Madison and across Wisconsin. We are once again partnering with our friend Dino at Wolf's to host to hold a Pride event, the King Street Block Party, and then also Oktoberfest in October. So it's similar. They're the same programs that Wolf's has held for a good number of years, I think 10 to 12 years on some of those. So just once again, just looking for renewal or approval to go ahead and proceed with those.
All right, thank you very much.
I apologize. I have a dog that drives past the Boneyard every morning. I'm trying to get on my lap right now. So
excellent. Thank you, Brian. Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant? Ms. Farley.
I had noticed on the application, it looks like the section saying in regards to eviction in violation of Chapter 38. I think this was accidentally marked, but I wanted to confirm.
Yeah, no, I saw that too, and I'm like, yep, that's accidentally marked. So we have not.
And then also just as a bit of a clarification, I suppose. So as an organization working for, can you speak, I guess, to the folks that would be at this event? And yeah, I guess like who is the
yeah, sure, absolutely. Thank you for that question. Yes, the event is definitely targeted at adults, right, 21 and over. There is ID checking at the front gate. And, even though we are an organization that works directly with LGBT youth, this is not an event that we actually promote or invite our youth to. This is us supporting an event for adults in the community that also serves as a fundraiser for GSafe. And it gives adults in the community a chance to show support in that way.
Thank you. You answered that question more clearly than I asked it. So.
But I understood what you said. It was great.
Any further questions, Ms. Farley? All right, committee, what other questions do you have for the applicant? Or a motion would be in order. Mr. Fletcher.
Move approval of items 6 and 7.
Motion to approve items 6 and 7. Is there a second?
A second.
Second from Alder Revere. Any discussion? Hearing none. Any dissent? Hearing none. Motion carries. Items 6 and 7 are granted. Congratulations, Brian.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You all have a great night.
You too. Thank you. Okay, next up, item 19, new license for Refuel Pantry at 4222 East Wash. Do we have a registrant here for this item?
We do. Lakbir Singh.
Lakbir, can you please introduce yourself and tell us about your proposed business?
Yes, hi, my name is Lakbir Singh, and I'm actually purchasing an existing, it's a gas station with convenience store. So I'm requesting to kind of issue the same license which the current premises has. So, and I'm here to answer any questions which you may have, but I'm not changing anything or adding or deleting, just kind of continuing the operations as they're going right now.
Excellent. That is very straightforward. Thank you. Mr. Fletcher.
Lakbir, two questions. On the, I think it indicates that you own several other sort of businesses in the area, and there was supposed to be an attached list, but I don't necessarily know that it made it into the packet. For the record, that kind of question 20. What are the other sort of establishments that you own or that you're a director, a stockholder, part of an LLC of that have alcohol licenses or permits in the state?
Yep. Yeah. So I have other like convenience stores similar to this one where and a couple restaurants, so but like there's like 3 in Madison area itself, then I have a couple in Sun Prairie. So it's kind of like a similar setup like this. Yeah. But I did provide the list to the clerk, but I can email it if needed again.
Lakbir, I guess my second question, going to your point about not changing any of the operations, etc., of this location, let me maybe ask a different question to kind of what we typically answer, and that's, did you take an analysis and thought everything was working fine here, there's no need to change anything? Or was it simpler to kind of, just say, okay, this is just how I'm going to initially approach this establishment, and then maybe make tweaks down the road?
Yeah, I think the previous owners, they've been there for like almost 20 years, really reputable business people. They have made some changes recently, about 1.5 years ago. So I think the way this is, and they're retiring, and the store is really kept in a good condition. And so I'm just gonna kind of like thinking about just keeping it as it is for the time being. Doesn't look like there's a lot which needs to be fixed. So I hope I answered your question, or
you did, and I'll ask the deputy city clerk for the kind of conditions that were previously in place, or maybe him or the chair's already pulled it up, but none. Okay,
there's none.
Super. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Alder Revere.
Thank you. Could you please confirm what type of alcoholic beverages you wish to serve? Because it's a little confusing to me based on what the current license is and what you've applied for.
Yep. No. So I applied for a Class A beer license only. So it's that's what's served over there.
Very good. Well, that makes it a lot easier. So on your application in a different color ink, somebody marked liquor in addition to beer. And I note that the current license holder only has Class A beer. doesn't apparently sell wine, which, as you probably know, you need for the Class A liquor license. So you have no intention of adding wine to the sales there, just continuing the beer that's already sold there?
Correct. Yep. Yeah. Because I think I was told that the C stores can't sell wine or liquor. They can only sell beer.
Well, no, you could apply for, and you're noticed on our agenda tonight to apply for both Class A beer and Class A liquor. But we have a separate ordinance in the city of Madison you might be familiar with that says if you have gas pumps, you are not able to sell spirits. So we always have to condition the Class A liquor licenses that they're only, that sales are limited to wine only.
Oh, okay.
I'm not trying to talk you in by any means into adding wine to this location of yours, but I just wanted to clarify exactly what license you're applying for and because we need to clarify that.
Yeah. So then I think if we are able to sell wine, yes, I would ask if we can get that. So I think that's going to be the change which we would make is add wine to the store. So.
Okay. So maybe you already had this conversation with somebody in the city clerk's office then, because that, like I said.
Yeah, because I think, when I came to apply, the person said about, I thought the Class B beer would cover the wine, but because liquor wasn't allowed with the gas pumps, so.
Yep. So the current license there is beer only, but you do wish to sell wine.
Yes, please.
That's what you're seeking. Okay, very good. And then you understand that it would be, even though it's called liquor license, it would be for beer and wine only.
Correct. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Verveer. Committee, what further questions do you have for this applicant?
I don't know if the committee's checking their email, but I did email the list of licenses the applicant holds.
Thank you, Mr. Verbeek. Are there any further registrants for this item? All right, then committee discussion or a motion would be in order. Alder Verveer.
Thank you. I move to grant a Class A beer and Class A liquor license with the liquor license limited to wine sales only.
All right. You hear the motion. Is there a second? Mr. Fletcher, any discussion?
And if I could just ask for clarification from either the deputy city clerk or assistant city attorney, can you remind me, do we need to mention anything about cider and as it relates to Class A's? I can't recall now because it's been a while since we've done one of these. Is cider covered under one of these licenses? And so we need to say cider and wine sales only or not? I can't recall.
Yes. Yep. So cider is included in the liquor. So if you wanted to allow sales of cider, you would have, if you're putting a condition on there, if you say wine only, it would not be able to sell cider. But if you say wine and cider, they would be able to sell both.
I'm if I could clarify, Chair Donnelly, that the condition would be amended to say sales on the liquor license, sales limited to cider and wine only.
That means, and I saw Mr. Fletcher nodding. All right, committee, any discussion of this motion? See none. Any dissent? All right, hearing none, motion carries. License is granted with the conditions enumerated by Alder Verveer. Congratulations, Blackbeard.
Sorry, who made the second on that one?
That was Mr. Fletcher. All right, that was item 19. Next up, item 20, Sookie's Veggie Burgers at 502 State Street. Do we have a registrant here for this item?
Hello, this is John.
John, can you please introduce yourself and let us know what you are proposing?
Sure. I'm a new business at 502 State Street, Sookie's Veggie Burgers. Opened about a month ago. Doing okay. and we're looking to add a local beer to our repertoire. We currently sell veggie burgers. We've got a mean beet burger, a black bean burger, possible chicken sandwich, etc., and fries, as well as hummus and pita and chips and guac. And the last thing I would note, we are currently only open until 8. We're just doing kind of the day crowd. We're not really looking to be a late night establishment. Trying to be very family friendly. We have crayons here, lots of colors, lots of plants, and so not trying to be part of the State Street nightlife, but would like the option to explore kind of having beer as part of our menu, and eventually my manager really wants to do cocktails. So I think I initially applied for 10 p.m. as a ending time. That would be completely fine for us right now, but if we were to get approved for 11 or midnight, that would be great. Great too. We would always sell food with our beer or liquor. So thank you much.
Have you watched some ALRC meetings before?
Yeah, I think this is my third.
I can tell that you anticipated some of the questions. 502 State Street, did your business replace Koi Sushi at that location?
Correct. It's a little bit of a interesting situation, but my business is taking over Koi Sushi. The LLC is transferring over to the restaurant next door, as well as their license. And then I'm having a smoothie place join me here in the 502 State Street location, but they won't be selling any liquor or have any access to it. So.
Okay. So the space that would be your licensed premises, do you have a lease that grants you exclusive control over that space?
Yes, I own the lease, and then I have subleased my portion to a small portion of the building to the other tenant.
And the portion that you are subletting, is that included in the area of your licensed premises?
Yes.
Okay. Assistant City Attorney Brist.
I think you've hit on an issue. It seems that we have two premises under one license that are owned by two different businesses. And I don't think we can grant one license to cover two businesses at the same location, even though they are adjoining each other, but if they're separate businesses.
But
if he does not have control over the space since he now leased it to someone else.
Well, if he leased part of it to someone else, and if he were to amend the licensed premises to not include the part that has been sublet, then it would just mean that people can't carry alcohol into that sublet area.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That works.
John, do you have any concerns with amending the described licensed premises to exclude the area you are subletting?
I have no problem with that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Let's see. Committee members, what questions do you have for the applicant? Ms. Farley.
Just to clarify, and I'm sorry if I missed this, I know that you said you're interested in serving beer, but your manager wanted to serve cocktails. I just wanted to clarify that this license.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, in the future. Okay. We're only applying for beer right now.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Farley. What other questions do you have for the applicant? Okay. Mr. Verbeek, do you have any other registrants for this item? Okay. Let's see. John, would you have any concerns with a condition being enumerated on your license restricting the hours during which you can sell alcohol?
Yeah, no, I kind of expected that.
Cool. Thank you. All right, committee, what's your pleasure? Ms. Parley?
I left my hand up, but I'll move to grant.
With or without conditions? And if
With
so,
conditions.
what conditions would you like?
Oh gosh.
If you would like to punt, Alder Revere also has his hand up. Alder Revere.
Thank you. I'll second with the condition that alcohol service shall cease by 10 p.m.
All right, Ms. Farley, you comfortable with that? Wonderful. All right, we have a motion and a second to grant with the condition that alcohol sales shall cease by 10 p.m. I did not expect that would be a tongue twister. And Alder Revere.
Yeah, thank you. A couple of quick things, please. First, John, welcome belatedly to State Street. Secondly, our collective apologies for having you wait an extra month to join us because of our quorum issues a month ago. And I should apologize to everyone that was in today's meeting that was on our agenda a month ago. But then lastly, I really wanted to just confirm so that you are aware that because you had said something in your earlier comments to the point that you might want to stay open later than 10 o'clock. I just wanted to amplify that the condition, if adopted, only relates to the beer sales. So you can stay open as a restaurant 24/7 if you desire. I just wanted to clarify that because I thought maybe you might be confused if we put a condition on it. You had said since in your application, you had said you'd close at 10 p.m. nightly. I just wanted to let you know that you aren't under any legal obligation to close the restaurant at 10 p.m., just the beer sales.
In fact, we object in no way to people providing food as late as they're willing to on State Street.
Right. I think the previous license condition for Koi Sushi, was it maybe until midnight?
I don't remember off the top of my head. We have quite, as you probably have heard from others, John, quite a history with Koi Sushi at this committee over the years. We can quickly get that answered for you if you'd like. Are you saying that you have second thoughts about the 10 p.m. condition, or you mean in the future coming back to us?
I'm happy to come back in the future and ask for an extension. That's a relatively simple process, I assume.
Correct.
Yes, you've had to sit through several of those types of relatively simple applications that we've already considered tonight.
Okay, cool.
In my conversations with my council colleague, Alderperson Heck, I know he was pretty comfortable with 10 p.m. and that's what you two had discussed. So that's why, I would certainly hope that we could go with 10 p.m. tonight. And if you need to reconsider, wish to reconsider, if you wish to go for the combination Class B license in the future, like Koi Sushi had, that I don't think would be a controversy for having cocktails like your manager is yearning for someday.
Yeah, that sounds great. Just a quick question then. So for what would be kind of the latest that a business like mine could serve alcohol without requiring a late night license?
It isn't a separate late night license. It's just that the later you want to be able to serve alcohol, the less comfort the committee is likely to have. Most bona fide restaurants are not interested in operating until 2:30 a.m. selling alcohol the whole time. The other factor is the more experience we have with a business and the more history we have that NPD can report to us, the greater our comfort level pushing any boundaries like that. So historically, there have been plenty of cases where, for example, in a highly residential area, many neighbors come in saying, please, please, no, don't let there be an establishment at this location. We approve it with some fairly severe conditions. They come back in 6 months to loosen or remove those conditions. And the only neighbors who show up are saying, why can't our local bar stay open later?
Too funny. Yeah, that sounds great. I just didn't know if there was like more problems after 1 a.m. or more problems after 11 p.m. that, would hopefully be avoided by doing an earlier condition.
Certainly, the later it is, the more drama there is on the block where you're operating. And if you reach out and talk to people from the police department, like Captain Sanders, I'm sure they would be happy to talk to you about that in greater detail. We've also had unfortunate experiences in the past where establishments that were pitched as restaurants or that even started out as restaurants have over time transformed into something else. And conditions like this one of ceasing alcohol sales by 10 p.m. is something that someone who's planning to open a bar would never agree to. And it goes a great distance to convince us that this is a bona fide restaurant.
Gotcha. Well, I won't ask any more questions, but thank you guys so much for your time.
By all means. So we have a motion and a second before us. Any discussion? Hearing none. Any dissent to granting license for Sookie's Veggie Burgers with the condition that alcohol sales cease by 10 p.m. All right, hearing no dissent, motion carries. Congratulations, John. And next up, we've got Forward Craft and Coffee at 2166 Atwood. Do we have a registrant here for this item, Mr. Robick?
Yes, Dan Podell and Chad Walhood.
All right. Hi. Dan and Chad, can you please introduce yourselves and tell us about your proposed business?
Absolutely. Yes, so we are Forward Craft and Coffee. My name is Dan Podell. I am one of the owners, and my partner, Chad Walhood, is here as well. We are operating in the Old Barrique space on Atwood Ave. So that's 2166 Atwood Avenue. And we're extremely excited to be a part of that community here, hopefully in the very near future. The products and services we are going to be selling is coffee and craft beer. So tonight and this ALRC hearing for us, we are requesting the Class B beer license only. Our hours of operation that we're looking at is open times around 7 a.m. For the coffee side of our business, and then hours of operation kind of closing more on the weekdays around 10 o'clock. But then weekends, I think in our application, we had mentioned midnight, where we've actually been taking a step back in that and maybe saying 11 for now and just seeing how it goes. But I know for application purposes, we did say 12. We've had discussions and we've had positive discussions with a lot of the community members. We've talked to the Sassy Neighborhood Association. We've had a conversation with Captain Gary of MPD. And we've also talked to our alderman of that district in Grant Foster. And we've even talked to the former Barriques owner, or the owner of the former Barriques, Matt Wygant, and he's been supportive and actually helping us with a few of our logistics pieces as well. So yeah, from I guess one other thing I can mention real quickly is I know entertainment has popped up here a few times. We are not pursuing any sort of entertainment of any source, just being in more of a residential district and also with the apartments directly above us. We're purely looking for just the coffee and the beer.
Excellent. Thank you, Dan. Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant? All right. right. Mr. Rubrick, are there any other registrants for this item?
No, they're not.
All right. Committee discussion, questions, or a motion would be in order. Dr. Reese.
I move to grant.
Your motion to grant from Dr. Reese. Is there a second?
I second.
Second from Alder Verveer. Any discussion? Mr. Fletcher?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I do have sort of one question for maybe Chad and Dan just before we vote on this. Chad, and you guys have your application in front of you, correct, Dan?
Yes, I do.
On sort of item 8, the whole notion of kind of beer to go, etc. Is that something you guys want to reintroduce at some point?
Yes, we will want the off-premise beer. So we'll have the beer coolers, kind of our to-go packs that you can mix and match. That will just be some of the local varieties that you can take out.
Okay, I just wanted to ask kind of with how it was crossed out in the application. So thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Any dissent? Hearing none. Motion carries. License is granted for Forward Craft and Coffee. Congratulations, Dan.
Great. Thank you.
We've got 5 things in a row coming up that are fairly large. Before we dive into that, Mr. Verbeek, can you tell us briefly about item 32?
I can tell you that it was on the agenda last month. Was on the consent agenda. I think Mr. Fletcher pulled it off the consent agenda. That applicant is not registered, not here.
Okay, well then we can get to that in its own time. Let us move on to item 23, Majestic Theater. We have a registrant here for this item.
Yeah, Matt Girding and Stephen Renfro.
And I realize I should have disclosed this at the beginning. While I haven't done it in quite a while, I have promoted events in the past at Majestic and the High Noon, so I've worked with Matt and Steve in the past. That will not influence me in any way. So, guys, can you tell us, introduce yourselves and tell us what you are proposing, and you're welcome to cast an umbrella over items 23, 24, 25, 26, and 2030 and 30 if you'd like, or cover them individually as you see fit.
Matt, you are unmuted.
Got it. Yeah, sorry, I cut out there for a second. I wasn't sure if Steve was gonna. I was just unmuted. Yeah, name's Steve Renfro. Longtime bar manager at the High Noon Saloon. Recently, I worked with Frank Productions as the bar director for all of their owned and operated venues. Recently, I've struck out on my own and started a third-party concessionaire business. I'm partnering with Frank Productions and running their bars at all their venues, and that's what we're doing here.
Excellent, thank you. Committee, what questions do you have for the applicant? Dr. Reese.
Can you help me understand? I'm a little confused by the bar concessionaire designation. And I mean, I understand that there's essentially two different companies running the two parts of the business, but being that it's all under the same roof, how does this work? How's that different from your traditional tavern or nightclub setup?
So a lot of large music venues are kind of moving this direction. They're hiring, professionals to come in and operate the bar business. We can see this at the Orpheum, where DLS has been operating for Live Nation and Frank Productions in the past, and that is the direction FPC wanted to go. But they offered me the opportunity to start my own business because they really respect the work my team and I do. So they were very kind to give us that opportunity. So I partnered up with Kathy Deathmers from the High Noon Saloon, and that's, is that clear?
Yeah, thanks. Chair, just for information, or maybe others who've been around, are there any other special considerations? Or I guess I'm mostly wondering, particularly because there are entertainment licenses with all of these.
So yeah, a couple of things. So the big consideration, of course, is that only one license can cover a given space, and if there is a licensed entity, nobody else can sell alcohol there. So look at, for example, Ian Garfield's license for the Children's Museum, where he's not an employee of the Children's Museum, he's an outside entity brought in to handle liquor sales. That means that nobody else could bring alcohol in to an event there. It has to be purchased through him. That's always going to be the case with something like this. I would anticipate less concern with this setup because the corporations involved are all going to understand those rules. Also, I'm guessing operationally, this won't look much different to anybody walking in and seeing what's going on. Steve, would that be correct?
That's absolutely correct. It's the same staff. We're trying to keep everybody on and very welcoming environment. I have employed a lot of professional bartenders that do an excellent job of service. So we'll keep everything running as smoothly and cleanly as possible.
Cool. Dr. Reese, what was the second part of your question?
I think what is just off-putting a little bit. So I'm just looking at 25 here.
Oh, I remember. You were asking about entertainment licenses.
Yeah, because there's a separate. So I guess is the entertainment license being requested by your entity, the same entity, Steve? Then.
Yeah, I was advised from the city clerk's office that I should apply for that. And they said that maybe we could sort this all out during this conversation. But sometimes the High Noon Saloon has happy hour events. So they thought I would have to be attached to that 18 and plus license.
Yeah, I guess that's sort of my question, Chair, is does it matter? Does the entertainment license then have to be attached in all of these cases to Renfro?
Sure. For the High Noon, I don't know, and we'll have to ask our counsel about that. For the others, they don't have entertainment licenses. They have theater licenses.
Oh, right.
Which are a different thing and not under our purview. But Assistant City Attorney Brist, we can use your help regarding the alcohol license and 18 plus Visual and Performing Arts Center license for the High Noon.
Well, the High Noon Saloon is classified as a tavern or bar currently. And the question is, if you're going to have people who are under 21 entering the establishment, we require the entertainment license be obtained by the licensee.
So do you have any concerns about the business which has the alcohol license and the Visual and Performing Arts Center license not being the one that is actually promoting events there?
I'm sorry, could you say that one more time?
Sure. So what concerns do you have, if any, with the having one business which is doing all of the alcohol sales and, you know, responsible for concessions there, not being the same business that is booking events?
Well, there's a control situation. The licensee who holds the liquor or alcohol license needs to be in control of the premises, and has to be able to enforce the rules in that facility. So I think a little bit of a divided management here, and that might be a concern that the committee would like to discuss with them.
Okay.
So yeah, and I understand that you know, you all have worked together for a long time and you all have a lot of experience here, but just in terms of and I think you mentioned maybe that, but the Orpheum would have that's a theater situation too, right? So correct. I guess just in terms of, you know, even though we might give you the benefit of the doubt of knowing that you're working well together already, probably won't change. I think it's still important for us to have the conversation about what Attorney Brist alluded to, just to kind of have the assurance that that you will have control over the premises. And I think it's a little bit different than you know, it's not like just a promoter situation where, you know, there's someone subcontracted to book the events. I mean, the venues in question here, that's kind of the primary business. So that, yeah, I guess I don't know what specifically to ask. So maybe my other Alder Carter and Alder Verveer can go ahead, and I'll see if I have another more specific question.
Thank you, Dr. Reese. Alder Carter, then Alder Verveer.
I just need to go back a little bit. So, Matt, your company runs the refreshment or bar at these establishments, correct?
So what is happening is that FPC Live, which is the operator of these venues and is the leaseholder for these venues, is carving off the bar operations at each of these venues to Renfro Refreshments LLC, who will be holding the liquor license. We are the operator of the facility, and we hold the lease for the facility and oversee the concert operations in terms of booking the artists and handling the production of that. But the bar operation is now going to be a separate entity that will own and operate the bar and have their liquor licenses.
And so when you leave an event, you're responsible for securing that area, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so, okay, let me just marinate on that for a minute. I'll come back.
Thank you, Alder Carter. Alder Verveer.
Thank you. So first, I've had a long conversation about all these applications with Matt Girding, so I might be in a better place than some of my colleagues to understand what's happening here, just to get that out there. As it relates, though, in terms of questions for you, Matt and Steve, as it relates to this issue of theater licenses, which, as you might recall, our committee doesn't have jurisdiction over, those applications go straight to the Common Council. Is it your intent for the Majestic and Orpheum and Sylvie theater licenses to keep them in their current ownership? For example, I don't know if this is still correct, but the most recent record I was able to pull up where the Orpheum, since you know, that's one that perhaps has been around the longest, at least in city history. The Orpheum, I believe the current theater license is licensed to Live Nation Worldwide Incorporated, but as you know, the alcohol license, as you mentioned earlier, is DLS Events LLC. So, what is your intention as it relates to those theater licenses, gentlemen?
So I can go ahead, Steve.
I was just say, yeah, it is our intention to keep the theater license with FPC.
Okay. Is the current Orpheum license actually FPC Live and not the most recent one I was able to pull up, which was Live Nation Worldwide?
Yeah, the current theater license at the Orpheum Theater is with Live Nation, and they are the technical leaseholder of the Orpheum Theater. We have a management agreement with Live Nation to operate the facility, but they're the leaseholder and they are the theater license holder. Previously, and up to this point, DLS has been the bar operator in the same sort of third-party concessionaire model. So specific to that venue, we're simply changing third-party concessionaires from DLS over to Renfro Refreshments.
Yes, and I remember meeting folks from California from DLS on different occasions over the years, and they were amending their alcohol license from one degree or another. So thank you for clarifying that. And so I did have a chance to review all of the current licenses, and most of them have no conditions, which is no surprise to me, of course. The one that has a lot of ancient conditions on it, and I believe an ancient description of the premise, is the High Noon, something that obviously, Steve, you're intimately familiar with. So Kathy came to us many years ago with kind of a joint operating party plans with the other tenants in the building to use the parking lot. So the existing High Noon license premise includes language that says, quote, that the parking lot includes the licensed premise either the Saturday or Sunday of Memorial Day weekend and the second Sunday in May. And this is back in 2015. We granted that for Kathy. Is that something that was still going on pre-pandemic? Is that something that you all are interested in? I noted you didn't mention that in your application, Steve.
Yeah. It has been a while since we've done that. We did do it, I believe, in 2019 with the Worst Times Festival. But yeah, we haven't done it since the pandemic, obviously. But that is something that we would probably be interested in. And I assume that since it was built in, it would carry over. But if I need to amend, I will do so.
I think we'll allow you to verbally amend your application here in the meeting. That's been our past practice for something like this. So what would the exact wording be? You probably, as you've been sitting through this meeting the last few hours, and my apologies again that I didn't get to you last month before a meeting abruptly adjourned, but as we did for Pasquale's and their Margarita and Taco Fest, what would we call this, and what would the time of the year be? Is it simply Memorial Day weekend, or what?
I believe we had Memorial Day weekend, and I thought I came back and asked for Labor Day weekend, and we did the Hootenanny back in 2019.
Okay, that didn't make it. That's not printed on the current license, so I haven't researched that far.
Yeah, I maybe just for Labor Day weekend we could call it that.
So High Noon would use the parking lot, your adjacent parking lot, if the committee agrees to this. We could simply say Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day weekend. Is that what you're asking for?
Yeah. One day over those 2 periods of time.
And Mike, that would mean that during that time that would the licensed premises also include the stairs down to the parking lot, or would it be a non-contiguous area?
You said Mike. Are you asking me, or do you mean Steve?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was asking. Albert Vervier. I remember that we had some lengthy discussions.
I do too. I remember that too.
And it had to be sliced up carefully whose licensed premises was which. It may be that the outcome was that the parking lot was part of the licensed premises, the stairs weren't, and patrons were not allowed to carry things back and forth. Steve, do you remember, could people carry things in and out of the building?
They could, yeah, they could go from the parking lot up to the patio that the High Noon Saloon controlled, that portion of the patio, and then they could come in and out of the High Noon Saloon. But we always kept the staircase clear, so.
Sure. It's a weird thing where if the stairs are part of the licensed premises, patrons could walk up and down them with alcohol. If they are not part of the licensed premises, then you could have employees transport alcohol from one place to another, but patrons couldn't. It would be like when there is sidewalk seating on the square and somebody can't just walk in and out of the bar, but the servers can bring things to them. So do you know in the leases who has lease control of those stairs?
I don't know off the top of my head. I would assume it was us because, the High Noon Saloon, because we've always kind of monitored it. And as people come in, we check the IDs at that point during the summer months. But I don't know the specific language.
Thank you.
Thank you. If I could, and I know that the deputy city clerk has some additional information, but before I yield to Jim, because I do have a couple of questions yet, I did want to just specifically ask you about the patio. Then, is that my understanding from our past meetings over the years correct that patio is divided 3 ways with your neighbors?
That is correct. It's the Brass Ring, the Brink Lounge, and the High Noon Saloon.
Right. So in the description of your licensed premise where you say 34 seats on the outdoor patio, that's your portion under the lease.
That's correct.
Thank you. That's what I thought. Why don't I yield to Deputy City Clerk, because I think he wants to help us with this line of questioning, perhaps.
Thank you, Alder Verveer. Mr. Robick.
I was looking at, I know there was a question about the Renfro Group holding the alcohol and the entertainment license when sort of the promotion, the operation is happening through Frank Productions. I looked for other licenses in the area that sort of had that, where another party holds alcohol and entertainment licenses. Chair Donnelly, you mentioned the Children's Museum. Tango Bravo holds both the alcohol and an entertainment license for the Children's Museum. 16 Bars LLC holds an alcohol license and entertainment license for the Central Library. And previously, Fresco held an alcohol license and entertainment license for Momoka.
That was useful. Thank you, Mr. Robick. Committee.
I did have a couple of other questions, if I.
Of course, Alder Verveer, then Dr. Reese.
Thank you. So, Steve, as I was again looking at your current license for High Noon, again, as I said earlier, the other establishments that we're considering don't have conditions on their license, but High Noon has a number of ancient conditions that hark back to the era of the ALRC. Killing trees by having pages and pages of conditions that frankly just say follow the law and so forth. But so I'm not going to read all of them to you. There are actually 7 of them. There are only a couple that perhaps I think should be continued on this new license because I obviously, at least I personally have utmost faith and confidence in you and your operation all these years. So most of these are absolutely unnecessary. But there are some conditions on here that if you could just maybe refresh my memory of the history of. And one of them, if any of you are looking at this, it's item 8 on the current license. All live music performances will end at least half hour before bar time. That's the first one. I wanted to ask about is that something that you've been doing? And
nowadays, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, I don't feel the need to micromanage you to that extent personally.
Yeah. We it's a rare occasion anymore they actually go that late. We're wrapping up fairly early these days.
Okay. So, well, just speaking for myself, I don't think we need to continue that condition. And then, actually, that might have been the only one as I reread these again. These, by the way, are from 2003. They really are, I would say, almost insulting, actually.
You're making me feel old, Mike.
Well, I am old, so I was on the committee back then when we did this to you. And is that when High Noon first opened? By the way, what year did you all open?
Yeah, it was actually May 5th, 2004 was the first.
Okay,
first day.
So this explains it was the original license. So people were uneasy with the new venue and so forth. Yeah. So that's all I have on the condition. So circling back to how you want just so we get this right for a motion at the appropriate time, you're asking for expansion into your licensed premise to include the parking lot on one day of both Memorial Day and Labor Day weekends. Is that how we would word it?
That sounds correct to me.
So it's never a 2-day event. It's always one day.
It has always been one day historically, but I don't know if I don't foresee us going 2 days, but if that were the case, I guess we'd come back, but one day should be sufficient.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Alder Verveer. And now Dr. Reese.
Thanks. I think all my questions are answered, and it looks like, Renfro, Steve, you're on the entertainment license, so those would match, and that would follow suit with the other analogous venues that we have. So that's fine. Just for the committee, wondering if we're good to go with that amendment for the Memorial Day or Labor Day, or if we need to figure out the stairs issue or the exact premises issue before we pass that.
I would.
If we make it conditional to finalize it before the council meeting.
I think that would be a good idea. And what that would mean, Steve, is you'd need to provide a copy of a lease that shows that the High Noon has sole control of the stairs.
Okay.
And if that is not the case, we could carve out that bit, which would mean you could still have the parking lot, but people wouldn't be able to walk up and down the stairs.
Got it.
Stay in one place or the other.
Okay. Fair enough. I will look into that and get that information into you.
Dr. Reese, I believe other than that detail and somebody being ready to make a motion and enumerate what conditions they want for it, that we are all set. Cool. Mr. Verbeek, are there any other registrants for items 23, 24, 25, 26, and or 30?
Let me double check. I do not think there are. Nope.
Okay. In that case, a motion would be in order. Perhaps from Alder Verveer, who has familiarity with all the conditions involved.
Thank you very much. So I move to grant the following several licenses. Agenda item 23, alcohol license for the Majestic Theater. Agenda items 24 and 25, the alcohol and entertainment licenses respectively for the High Noon Saloon, with the note that the applicant has amended on the record during the meeting tonight that the actual liquor premise would include one day of Memorial Day, and Labor Day weekends, 1 day each, Memorial and Labor Day weekends each, to include the parking lot. Agenda item number 26, alcohol license for the Sylvie, and agenda item number 30, the alcohol license for the Orpheum.
I have two questions, Alder Verveer. I believe it is your intent, but I want to be sure. For all of the other existing conditions on the High Noon's license, is it your intent not to propose as part of your motion to recapture any of those?
That is correct. I don't believe any conditions are necessary for any of these applications.
And next, for the High Noon, for Labor Day and Memorial Day weekends, is it your intent that if they can produce a lease showing that they have sole control of the stairs, that the stairs between the parking lot and patio would also be included on the licensed premises on those 2 dates?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. You've heard Alder Verveer's motion. Do I hear a second? Second from Mr. Fletcher. Discussion. Okay. Hearing none. Is there any dissent to Alder Verveer's motion for items 23, 24, 25, 26, and 30? I do not see any dissent, so motion carries. Item 23, new license for Majestic Theater is granted. 24 and 25 for the High Noon are granted with the conditions that expand the licensed premises to the parking lot and stairs on 1 day each of Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day weekend. Item 26, new license for Sylvie, and item 30, new license for the Orpheum. Congratulations, Steve.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's time.
Okay. Next.
I'm sorry, who was the second on those motions?
That was Mr. Fletcher.
Okay. Thank you.
Next up, item 32, new license for SSA at 606 South Randall, which I thought was the zoo. Do we have a registrant here for this item?
It is the zoo. I don't see anyone registered, so I need to refresh my thing.
Are there any animals here?
No, there's no one registered.
All right, committee, what's your pleasure? Mr. Fletcher.
I would refer to our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Your motion to refer from Mr. Fletcher. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Farley. Any discussion of the motion to refer? Hearing none. Any dissent? Motion carries. Item 32 is referred to the next regularly scheduled ALRC meeting. Item 33, report of Madison Police Department. Captain Zanders, is there anything to which you would like to call the committee's attention?
I will just keep this extremely brief. Since the last time we met, we had a couple incidents at SOTL that occurred on Thursday nights. However, my central CPT team and the SOTL staff have been working together to improve on these issues, which included a couple of batteries. That's all I have to report from the district.
Thank you, Captain Zanders. Committee, do you have any questions for Captain Zanders about the incidents he described and or anything in our packet of recent calls for service? All right, seeing none, thank you, Captain Zanders. Moving along. Item 34, report of the city clerk, summary of licenses issued. Mr. Verbeek, is there anything to which you would like to call our attention?
I'll just say that you notice that there's a couple licenses that passed the deadline in which they need to be issued, so they were considered surrendered. One of those, I believe they reapplied, so you'll be seeing them next month at their regular meeting. And then beyond that, we're in the middle of renewals, and I think there's only about 28 licenses that have not submitted the renewal paperwork yet, which is good, because they face a $250 late fee for submitting their applications late. Some of those 28 may no longer be in business. They won't have to worry about paying that $250 anyways. But overall, it's going pretty good. We're still auditing the renewal paperwork to make sure that everything matches how it currently exists in the license. And yeah.
Wonderful. Have you been getting responses to your survey for dates to hold renewal hearings?
The separations meeting, yes. I think I'm just waiting on one, and I'm still waiting to hear back on that. It's Alder Miadzi who's not here. I'm following up with him. It looks like I noticed that ACA Zilby is not able to make that second week. So we might only have, I think, that Monday in that first week, whatever that is in May. I think it was the 23rd. Might be the date that we scheduled for that meeting.
Thank you very much. Committee, what questions do you have for Mr. Verbeek? Alder Verveer.
Thank you. Jim, is this the first report you've provided us since the pandemic where we have exhausted our grandfathered licenses?
I think so. Because I think we ran out just fairly recently.
Yeah, because I've been advising prospective applicants throughout the pandemic that they'll have no problem securing a grandfather license. I have to take back my words now. So I'm pretty sure that that's only happened the last few weeks.
Well, this is the same report I prepared for last month. So we ran out just prior to the last month's meeting.
Oh,
sometime between the February and March meeting we ran out.
Okay. And so are the numbers not accurate on this? This is on this written report? So this is, you have not updated this since March 11th?
I've not updated since March because the numbers have not changed because we didn't approve any new licenses, and I think we'd already had. Hold on.
If we didn't approve any new ones and nobody picked up any old ones, then nothing would have changed.
And so none of these have missed their issuance deadline beyond the two that you highlighted?
Correct.
Since the last meeting?
Yeah, all our grandfathered regular licenses were issued prior to the March ALRC meeting.
Thank you. And did you say both of these applicants have now reapplied since they missed the deadline?
Define Gravity LLC has reapplied. I spoke with the owner for Hayes Place, and they said they're no longer looking to go to that place. They may submit an application in the future.
I see. Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you, Alder Verveer. Any further questions for Deputy Clerk Verbeek? All right. Next up, item 35, entity reorganization for Madison Residence Inn. Do we have a registrant here for this item?
I don't see anyone registered. I'm not sure who the call-in person is.
Okay. Committee, what's your pleasure?
Can we refer this to our next meeting?
We certainly can. Are you so moving?
Then I move to refer this to our next meeting.
With a motion from Alder Carter to refer, a second from Ms. Farley. All right. Dr. Reese.
Anyway, we can just make sure the phone caller isn't that person because it's late. That's why.
They would have had to register.
I gotcha. Okay.
All right, Alder Verveer.
Thank you. Can I think was it Vice Chair Fletcher that removed this from the consent agenda proposed at our last meeting? Could you refresh our memory as to what the issue is here? I'm not remembering from last month.
Yeah, Oliver, to be frank, I think I would struggle at this point just looking through it to recall exactly what it was. I mean, I think I just wanted to inquire about the change in corporate structure as to why this was on the agenda, as opposed to just being kind of waved through. To me, re-looking at the paperwork, it seems like a corporate change. Kind of swapping in and out. So I don't necessarily see a need to hold this up unless others sort of feel as if they would like to at this point.
Thank you. That was my thought. Obviously, this is a Connecticut corporation that owns a hotel on the interstate. And from looking at this, I don't know how many members of the LLC there are. Jim, I don't know if you have that in front of you or not, but are they just replacing one vice president with a new vice president, but there are other members?
I'm trying to recall. I think it's just the one person who controls that board or whatever. Because I know they marked that it's after the change is only one person. So my understanding, I think, is that it's just one person that sort of
okay. So that's probably what Attorney Fletcher caught was the number one on the second page of the application. Right. That must be what spurred you to take.
You're right. I mean, in terms of the size and scope of things, I guess I just wanted someone to be here to address sort of the question about what was going on in the ownership structure.
It seems odd that it would only be one. I think they must have misunderstood the question because I don't know. It just seems odd that it was only one person that their title would be vice president. I don't have strong feelings either way. Whether we refer it and Jim can track down someone from Connecticut to join us or we want to just let it go through. I'm agnostic on the question. So thank you for helping me remember what it was.
I think it was collective memory at this point.
Ms. Fletcher, or Ms. Farley, sorry.
Yeah, I guess I also have kind of a question on this, and also considering item 29. When the LLC remains the same, but there's an entity reorganization, does that constitute a application for change of officers or a new license application? That's not clear to me.
That is a fine question indeed. The intent of an entity reorganization is when a business is making a relatively small change. You've got half a dozen officers, you remove one, you add one. And often it's cases like this where, or what we assume this is, where the corporate entity in question is so distant that it has negligible impact on the day-to-day operations. The two cases that we really want to see are things where, well, I'll start with the more extreme one. There are cases where people try to sidestep the requirement that a new owner apply for a new license by doing an entity reorganization adding the new owner as an officer, and then later do another entity reorganization, removing the old one, and just sort of slide somebody in. And so we've had a guideline for a number of years now where if the turnover in officers is greater than or equal to 50%, that we actually meet with them and ask them about it. And while generally there's nothing to it, we have had points where we've caught shenanigans. A lesser thing is when it's a local business and either somebody is leaving who had a meaningful role in operating the business, and we want to make sure that the remaining members of it will be able to continue operations the way it had been, or when somebody new is coming on, and while they might not be buying the business, they are going to have a significant role in operations. And again, we want some amount of scrutiny. One of the aspects of that is, just like with operators licenses, there are state statute requirements of the officers of the corporation that owns a licensed establishment that they not have certain criminal histories and the like. Have I adequately answered your question?
I believe so. With that in mind, would it be worth reconsideration for item 29 to recommend an entity organization where a current employee is stepping up as the owner under the same LLC?
Well, that would certainly be in order. But generally, that one is an example of something where we would want them to be applying for a new license as they did in this case. We've also had occasional cases where people have come and applied for a new license and we didn't even think they really needed to, but given that the bar for that is higher and the scrutiny is higher, we're never going to complain if somebody goes through that. So all that being said, Mr. Fletcher.
I was going to go back to all that being said. Just because of the question that's outstanding, I would say give it another month with this, see if we can get a hold of someone from the kind of corporate office, to at least try and answer the questions, and we can kind of act on it next month if we don't find anyone. And
Jim, perhaps you could afford them the opportunity, if they have made an error in the application, to amend it, since it seems likely that they have more officers than a solitary vice president, and they probably just didn't understand the form and fill it out carefully. Ms. Farley, did you have additional questions or comments? Excellent. All right, so we have a motion, I believe, from Alder Carter to refer, and seconded by Ms. Farley. Any further discussion of this motion? Hearing none, any dissent? Hearing none, motion carries. Item 35 is referred to the next regularly scheduled ALRC meeting, which brings us to the final item, adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Mr. Fletcher, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Alder Carter. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed have the same privilege. Motion carries. ALRC meeting is adjourned at 8:49 p.m.
There's never hesitation on that last one, is there?
Never, never.
Good night, everybody.